Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Coconut Chats. Today we are going to be talking about a very successful woman in charity and how that person has kind of channeled her grief into doing something constructive for the society. Before moving on to the actual conversation, for all the people who've been with us all through our journey, thank you so much for your thoughts, feedbacks, and comments. They are really appreciated, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. For those of you who are listening to us for the very first time, please stay tuned for more episodes to come. And we really, really need your support because this is a platform which tells you the stories of people who have made it and who have gone through very hard times. And we want to be their voice. So please stay tuned with us. Moving on the table, I have with me my very good friend and co host, Harita. How are you, Harita?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks. And moving on to our guest speaker of the evening. So, with us, we have Zebedia all the way from Bangladesh. Dia, first of all, thank you for joining in and thank you for doing this with us. Can I please request you to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hello, I am Dia Quader. I'm basically an entrepreneur. Um, I also do some charity works, and I consider myself as an environmentalist because through my business, I really try to do some social work as well as do some environmental work, as you'll see as I talk about it. So.
Awesome. Awesome. That's very inspiring. Like, I was already half inspired when you said you are an environmentalist. Not a lot of people we have had so far said that they do that as well. Probably something we need to start kind of thinking more about. All right, moving on to the first question that we have for you, dear. What motivated you to kind of walk this way in your life? What motivated you for this specific journey?
I started this when basically my dad passed away. He passed away a year back, but um, since he passed away, I decided that I will do something to honor him as a tribute. So exactly 4 days after he passed away, I went to. I felt like I just have to go out and I have to do something, and that's when I started a business, the Qaders basically. So
Yeah.
it's actually a joint venture, as in like we have some charity organizations under it, as well as
Mm,
there's a clothing line. But um, yeah, through every purchase, we actually try to donate to charities, medical research centers, as well as we actually plant a tree for every order we get. So through this, we hope to inspire everyone to be more environmental friendly. Plus, our packagings are very environmental friendly. That's what we try to
mm.
achieve, which I feel like businesses really do not focus on nowadays. I mean, they're trying to, but like that's what I want to do, be very, very economically friendly,
So you're
environmentally
telling
friendly.
us that you're balancing two things. You're being economic friendly and you're being a successful woman in business. That's what you're telling us, right?
Yes. Yeah, I try to at least.
Now that's amazing. You know, even one little trial can go a long way, especially in 21st century when COVID taught us so many things about nature. All right, before I move on to my next question, I'll move on to Harita. Harita, do you have anything for our guest? Any questions, any thoughts?
Yeah, so I was wondering, because you spoke about the fact that uh, you donate to charity from the sales you make. What is it that you actually sell? What's the item you sell?
Okay. Um, so the initially we started as a clothing brand, and that's what we are selling, clothes for women, men, as well as pets actually. So it's basically the startups, but like yeah, that is how we try to like donate actively, and as well as our customers are aware um of how they're doing good as well as just purchasing something. I feel like.
Oh, yeah. And what type of charities do you donate the profits to?
Um, actually, the charities we have donated till now is charities that focus on stray animals. Since it's winter in Bangladesh, I feel like that they needed the most, according to my observation, as I run my own charity organization as well that also focuses on animals. So I was very passionate about it, and that's what I thought when I thought about like there are a lot of organizations that look for funds. So I felt like this is how I can help them as well as I work on my own.
Nice. Very good.
That's amazing. That's amazing, right? I'm already half inspired. All right, next thing onto my plate that I have to offer to you, Dia, is you're from BD, yeah? So you know how people in our countries think that once you cross a specific age, you need to settle down, blah blah blah, and all that jazz starts happening. So
Right.
you've chosen a very strong path for yourself. You're working towards a more sustainable future, and it doesn't get easy.
Right.
So, have you ever faced any sort of criticism or judgment or questions from your peers or
Yeah.
extended family? All right.
Well, I am 22, but like not yet. I think I will. But yeah. But the thing is about Bangladesh, yeah, they do have sort of societal pressure, like Asian
Mm,
countries. That's how it works, brown family. But other than that, in Bangladesh, I've seen like, especially due to the COVID situation, a lot of entrepreneurs have emerged, and most of them are women. I feel like I know like almost 200 women who are just working from home or work as an entrepreneur,
yeah.
and it's really inspiring. It's just a sudden outgrowth of women starting to be a business woman, and this is amazing, I feel like. So that's a massive growth for Bangladesh.
Yeah. Now that's a massive change for every woman in the society as well, because we need more people like you to stand up and to show every oppressed or medium oppressed woman that they can fight for their own lives. They
Yeah.
have the right to be independent and successful.
Yeah, that's
That
so
was
true. Like you said, you were 22 years old, and most 22-year-olds, even though it's the 21st century, most 22-year-olds in India and Bangladesh and most Asian countries are just told, go to university, get your degree, get a
Right,
job, get married. That's it. You don't do anything outside of that, especially something with as much risk as, charity work
yeah.
where there's not always a
right,
profit in it. So good on you
right.
for like being so young and actually seeing this need that's in our
Yeah,
society.
thank you.
No, it's
Well,
awesome.
that's the thing. I try. I really try. And I feel like, yeah, that's another thing that it's really hard for people to, understand the concept of in being eco-friendly, being uh, involved in social work. Most people don't understand that. And I did
Mm,
face some remarks like, okay, you don't have to do that as much. Or I was feeding this dog, suppose, and someone asked me why. And this really, when I was very like shocked, like, how can you ask why? And I was like, I don't know how to respond to that, These things, like, it's really, you need a lot of patience, which I really don't have, honestly, but I really try. So that's the thing.
But when you tell us that you've had people questioning that why you feeding a dog, right?
Yeah.
This is like a very humanitarian deed that you were doing. You were feeding another living individual or organism. Why do you think people come up with these questions? What do you think goes on in their back of their minds?
I feel like this actually is basically the generation before us. I feel like our generation is pretty much progressed in a way that in Bangladesh, our animal community and as well as our entrepreneur community is quite large and is growing. So we understand that. But other than that, the generation before us, they don't really try to understand this. And I feel like this is because they do not know or have any awareness about why we should do what we should do, right? So even being environmental friendly, I've faced some questions like, you don't need to be eco-friendly to get clients, right? So these kind of things, like, it's difficult to make you understand that, if you have a choice, why can't you be better, right?
Yeah,
Hmm,
very true.
that's so true. Harita, any thoughts before we move on?
No, I think you said it really well. Like it is people our age do understand, and we do go the extra mile to be environmentally friendly and to help animals and all of that. But yeah, it's all the older generation that are just stuck in their way. Yeah.
So then that leads me to another question before I actually hop on to my main one. That what can we do to raise awareness in that sector of the generation? Like, they are living, they have another 20, 30 years ahead of themselves. So how can we raise that awareness in them?
I feel like I've tried my ways of trying to explain people, but the thing is, we only accept things when we are open to it. Like, suppose we want to learn about something, and if we are open to it, we're gonna learn. If we are not, we're not gonna learn. So what I've seen is when I work with stray animals in the streets, suppose, and people see me, the way I interact with them, they get inspired. Like they start to think about, okay, these animals are not that bad. Maybe we should take care of it. In fact, I've seen a lot of people getting inspired by the way I work, right? Because I live right next to a university, and there are a lot of students, and then there's me, and I've even named some dogs, okay, the ones I work with. So I've seen a lot of people, like even poor people, start to call them, and they start to feed them, so and take care of them. So it's like how a action can actually influence someone. I've
Yeah.
realized that's the best way than words, I feel like.
No, that's true. Actions can actually influence people if they want to be influenced, I feel. So, all right, coming back to your charity work, Dia. So, is your charity open to receiving international funds? And if so, then do you have a business model in mind?
Well, we do not take international funds right now because we are yet to be registered. Due to COVID, we have not registered as an NGO. But
Hmm.
other than that, we do take personally and also provide the input and output sheet, and as well as pictures of uh, every place that we have spent the funds on, so that there's a clear conception of where the fund is coming in and where the fund is going out. And we give a form to every donor that donates to
Hmm.
our charity.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the business model, if I may ask, that you guys follow in your institution? How do you kind of build that up?
Okay, so the thing is, the Qadrs, I take it as a parent company,
Hmm.
and I take subsidiary companies. Like there's two subsidiary charity organizations and the clothing line.
Hmm.
So I keep all these under the Qadrs, as that's the parent company, and this is because I feel like it's easier to aim people in terms of trust. Like when they know this organization is doing this, if they trust that organization, they're automatically going to trust my other two charity ventures that are, a
Yeah.
subsidiary.
Mm.
So one of the charity venture is We Rescue, You Adopt. So basically, the ones I rescue or my team rescues, well, my team is quite fluctuating because it's really hard to find someone, steady, since I'm not really good friends with anyone who shares the same interests. But yeah, the dogs I rescue, the cats I rescue, I give it up for adoption. So that's the organization's main purpose. And the other one is Super Windfallers. It's basically when my dad was sick, I've noticed a lot of people not getting a hospital treatment because they couldn't pay. And it's not because they're poor, they couldn't afford it. So I've seen them frantically calling people and asking for money, and that really touched me, that they cannot get a treatment. And that's when I learned that this is a huge area that I can, focus on and donate, because most people think it's either the poor or yeah, most people donate to the poor, but then there's this middle class people who really need to survive. So that's where I focus on people who need that medical expense.
Just a quick question before we move, Dia. So you mentioned that you rescue dogs and cats, right? And
Right.
you then give them up for adoption. For
Mhm.
example, if you've rescued 10 dogs, out of which 7 have gone out for adoption. So what do you
Right.
guys do with the other 3? Do you have a registered animal shelter where you put them for interim care, or what happens to those 3 while they're still awaiting adoption?
Okay. The thing is, we haven't faced something like that yet, but we actually there's like a shelter in my country treats that treats sick dogs, but they do not
Okay.
take healthy dogs. That's the thing. So if the dog is sick, I'm going to go for that shelter, and once it's treated, probably go for adoption, or I'm just gonna, let it go to its locality where it was. But or treat it myself. I foster as well. Yeah, I treat it myself. I foster, or and then if it's not adopted, I can, let it be the way it was. But I'll try my best. I try my best, and till now everything was great. Actually, we haven't
Yeah.
faced like that.
No, awesome. Awesome. Harita, any thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing, like what do you do? But at least, you've said that you take care of the dogs that don't get adopted out straight away, or you have the ability to, which is good. Yeah, I think you've covered. I was actually wondering, do you explain this business model on your Facebook and Instagram pages so our listeners might know exactly what you do, like, if they see it written down?
Well, I'm trying. I'm really trying to get the message across because it's really important for clients to know why it's this brand, why this.
Mm.
So, yeah, we are having some projects coming in. And firstly, it's an introductory video of what we are. So that's when we are going to focus more on all these information. But other than that, the clothing line also focuses on photo shoots that actually give a social message. Like, suppose we are having a shoot that is going to involve stray animals, and when models are wearing clothes of my clothing line with stray animals, automatically they have a focus, so it's easier for them to get adopted, as well as it's becoming normalized. We're trying to normalize basically adoption of stray animals. That's another way of trying to, put my business
Yeah.
into social work. That's what I try to do.
Yep. Okay.
That's amazing. He's just amazing and amazing based on whatever I hear from you. It's just so inspiring, yeah. So good
Yeah.
kudos to you for doing that, whatever you
Thank
do.
you.
Moving on to kind of fairly the last question in our conversation. So you've been doing all this great work. It's safe to say that you are an entrepreneur in your own sense. So what, in your opinion, do women need to do more, or women just generally need to do in order to be accepted as a head of the organization without having been looked at sarcastically or any of that cliches being followed on them?
Well, I feel like firstly they have to take the risk, honestly. Without the risk, nobody's gonna go far. That's what I feel like. A lot of people to not take the risk, I feel like. So firstly, they have to take the risk. Secondly, they have to be focused on what they're doing actually and find meaning to it. Uh, and there's always a meaning to whatever you do. And if you find a meaning in what you do, you're already someone, I feel like.
Yeah,
And taking the
that's it.
risk, well, a lot of people think, okay, I'm a woman, I'm not going to aim, I cannot aim that far, or I can't be the head of an organization or whatever. But point is, taking the risk and being out there is the step that one needs to do and be confident. And the rest is going to come.
Yeah, yeah. So on those lines, dear, what I think we have asked this question a couple of times before. How do you see yourself in the next 7, 8 years from now?
Oh, well, 7, 8 years later, I feel like I will probably well, I like to experiment on work, and that's what I like to do. So, 7, 8 years later, I do feel like I'm going to, expand the cadres a lot more, and hopefully try to have locations across the world. That's what want to do actually, so that yeah, everyone can have a part in their own.
Yeah, yeah. So that was my another sub question. Sorry, I'll come to you shortly. I was about to ask Dia, which you already answered, that do you wish to expand globally, and she already said yes. So Harit, I'll move on to you now.
Yeah, I was wondering, do your family support you in this initiative? So, like, if you live with your family, say, for example, you wanted to bring a few dogs home to take care of until they got adopted, do your family support that you do this?
Well, yeah, they do. Well, depends. I now live with my grandparents, but depends. When I live with my parents, they do allow me that. Yeah, they do understand, but it's like there's always a limitation, like it's a basically the way I would do it in my own space. It's a bit different, obviously, because there's a restriction. I cannot bring how many I can because oh, there are a lot of people in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good that they let you at least bring, one or two at a time because,
Yeah.
say if I'm just saying my personal example, when I lived with my mom and dad, my mom doesn't, really like pets. And if I brought up this idea with her, she would probably say, oh, not in my house, That's why I
Yeah,
asked
yeah.
you that question.
And that's quite common. That's quite common. Yeah. A lot of people think like that.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. All right. On that note, Dia, thank you so much for taking your time to talk to us. It was such a revelating conversation, and I am honestly inspired. Like, I'm really inspired.
Yeah, nice to meet
We
you
would like to
guys.
thank you again. Sorry?
Nice to meet you guys.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you. And to all our listeners, if you've got any comments, thoughts, or ideas even, please don't forget to reach out to us at coconutchats@gmail.com. You can also find us on YouTube. We have a channel which is Coconut Chats. Please like, share, and subscribe because we have episodes coming on for you every week. Till then, stay safe, keep loving everyone, and keep pushing the boundaries. We'll see you again very soon. Thank you. Bye.